wonderful thing about this show is that he does the black and white photography, but he also does the color, digital photography in the slow motion. He lives on the water. It's very apparent. He's very in tune with the water.
A couple years ago, instead of living mostly downtown Seattle, which is where I was living most of the time, I moved out to the country. I've never really had a lot of interest in shooting nature. The idea of sitting there and waiting for the light to be just perfect for that killer scene, it never really interested me. I started paying attention more to what it felt like to live on the water, and this sense of sort of energized calm from the tidal action. And so I started to wonder if there was a way to photograph that emotion, that sense of energy that was not so much a literal photograph of the water, but a photograph of the way the water felt.
That inspiration looks like it would come from Renoir or an impressionistic painter, not a photographer. A very impressionistic, stylized color. The color work doesn't really come off as photography initially until you look at it a little bit closer, and then you can see it's obviously a photographic method.
Not just slow shutter speed lockdown on the tripod like we think of shooting water often, but slow shutter speed, panning with the movement of the waves, trying to make some little component of the wave stay sharp, but then let the rest of the water do its thing because it's moving at different speeds and different directions and all that kind of stuff. At certain angles, the waves are reflecting the pink of the sunset. And so you're getting these really interesting modeled patterns of different colors because the waves are at different angles and they're acting essentially like a mirror, reflecting what's around them. It's sunlight streaming into the water, it's backlit, it's all these different kinds of things. And what I find now that I'm sort of tuned to the water is I really see those colors when I'm shooting.
We were just talking about how it transforms, one minute we like one and the other minute we like the other, but it really depends on our mood.
It's interesting to make work that captures emotion and captures things that you think that you see.
I really like this. The tonality of his black and whites is gorgeous. I love the lighting. I can't think of the word to describe the softness of the lighting, but I really like it.
The black and white work, often I'll find a setting that I think is interesting and I'll just wait until something interesting happens there. And so all the time I'm doing that, 15 or 20 people might walk by that scene, and I'm kind of looking at each one of these people thinking, that person doesn't look that interesting, or they're, I don't like the body language, and then somebody will come along that's got, a hat or there's something about them seems really interesting, and so I'm kind of making up this little sort of story in my head about, where do I think this person's going and why do they look interesting, and then I wait until the composition sort of finishes itself by where they're positioned in the frame, and then I take the picture.
I think it's classic and timeless. It's not, you can't date it, I guess.
The street work is, I would say, it's very similar to older, classic photographers like Cartier-Bresson or Elliott Erwitt.
People come to galleries for all kinds of reasons, and they look at art for all kinds of reasons, and if you can take them someplace where they didn't think they were necessarily going to go when they walked in the door, that's very cool.